Okay, we're going, and I'll start the first monster roll, which sounds probably horrible because the I didn't even know there was an English version for that monster. But we're on this time. We're back. It's Shadow Archimage and Zed, and we're going over more Godzilla stuff.
It's gonna be fun.
And the first monster, I think I put him in order for you guys in Discord. I hope I did at least.
I'm not gonna lie, this is one where I don't even have the slightest clue of what these are.
This one, I don't blame you. These are very obscure monsters. The monster that the audience just heard would be Varan. And I don't even know if I'm saying these right. Varan. I've always pronounced it Varan.
That's
I'm
how I
not,
would pronounce it.
And
I'm not
that's
gonna
and
challenge
that's
it.
what I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep
The,
it.
the only other way is if I could think they did a stupid pronunciation like Varan.
Maybe you may be right, Zed. It may be
Oh
Varan.
God, no.
I mean, it sounds stupid, but that's the killing part. This is just so rare because Varan, I've only known him from a couple of accounts, and to give you his stats, 50 meters tall, so the same height as Showa era Godzilla, 15,000 metric tons, or 16,500 tons. It's it looked like a flying squirrel mixed with a lizard.
It really does.
Yeah.
Could be a flying lizard.
It kind of is.
I mean, there are gliding lizards.
So
Yeah.
this is something you would like a little bit, Archimage. He's a three terrain monster. He goes from land, sea, and air.
Oh, nice.
He can swim in the sea. He can I think he can dig underground, and he can fly in the sky. He can glide through the sky. He was in the movie Varan the Unbelievable, 1958. That was his own movie. In that movie, again, I'm going to really summarize these movies because I've never seen most of these movies. I've never seen, and it's kind of hard to find these movies nowadays, especially in a good look. Apparently, this was dubbed, which dumbfounded me when I heard that. But
Do you
yes,
think our mutual friend who has all movies would have it?
we can ask next time we see him, but I would not be surprised if he does not, because these are kind of really obscure,
Yeah.
really obscure. As I start
Oh,
posting some of the movie posters for the folks on YouTube,
Ha!
it's yeah, like when you see these costumes, they're really kind of old. They're really just out there.
On
Uh,
a side note,
yes,
the flying lizards are called Draco lizards
that's it.
or dragon
Yeah,
lizards.
those were the ones I was thinking of.
Yeah, I think they look the same. Where they got like little, like
Uh, no, actually, there is a difference. So, your monster has a webbing that goes between its arms and legs. They have more of a shield that folds out, but it's not directly connected to their arms and legs. In fact, many times they're holding them out almost like a glider.
okay,
So it's more of a sideways frill, kind of like the Dilophosaurus or the first dinosaur that ate the fat guy in Jurassic Park. The one that spit acid, that frill he
I know
had
what
that extended.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
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 Draco lizards have a frill on their stomachs that pulls out when they're gliding and flying.
gotcha. Okay,
So
well,
it's not connected like these things. It's more like connected like the webbing feet of a duck.
well. Other than that, I mean, Varan, in his own movie is very much kind of like Godzilla movie. Only difference he was kind of being worshipped as a deity like figure. Of course, again, I've only seen little summaries of this. It seemed like eventually he got provoked enough to come out and start attacking. They had to deal with him. The way they killed him in the movie, they got him to eat explosives and just detonate it in his stomach twice.
Damn.
First time injured him. The second time, the cliche, he goes into the ocean and you see the explosion type deal because they don't want they don't have the budget to show him blowing up. So yeah, he kind of went out that way. The next monster. Now let's see if I can get the. Let's see. I got one right. Let's see if I can strike again with the second monster, which they just heard, which in my opinion sound like an elephant constipated, but and that's being generous. But this next monster is called Manda. I think I'm getting that right. Manda. Manda, I guess, would be another pronunciation.
Oh yeah, that weird snake thing.
The snake thing, yes. This one you actually would have seen. Technically, all of these monsters will have been in a Godzilla movie. How well you see them all depends. Manda, this one I actually was interested. I did learn a little bit looking up about this one. He showed up.
Honestly, it looks like one of the dragons we covered.
He actually is very close once I get the compendium up there to give some of the stats. So he's 150 meters long. That's 492 feet for freedom units. Yes, I'm always going to be using that.
Damn right.
30,000 metric tons, so 33,000 tons. First showed up in Atragon, 1963. Now, for those on YouTube, you would probably be seeing the movie poster, which have a giant, what looked to be a flying submarine with a drill at the end.
What?
That is flying. It's not doing that for special effect. That it does fly in the movie.
No, I'm aware of that. They put a drill on a Zeppelin.
On the submarine.
That flies.
Yes.
Okay, but they directly called it a flying submarine?
Essentially, yes. Because I think Atragon actually translate to like flying war machine or something like that.
I guess so.
But the machine itself is called the Gotengo.
Of course it is.
Which you may remember, Archimage, because I think you've seen this movie, Final Wars.
Yes, I remember. I was actually going to say, it looks like the one with the big-ass drill in that.
That's where they got it from. This was the first movie. I never knew the Gotengo was in a previous, essentially, Showa-era movie. It was in this movie, the Atragon. The whole premise, this is your classic, lost city of Atlantis, city sunk below the waves, and the Gotengo finds it. And basically the people, it is very much like Atlantis. The people become very warlike and they try to declare war on humanity. And ultimately they summon their deity Manda to also assist them. It tries to wrap around the Gotengo and constrict around it and crush it. And surprisingly enough, it had a very gruesome death, very much the same way it died in Final Wars, if you can remember, Archimage, how it died in that movie.
Wasn't it blown apart by Godzilla?
Close. It was frozen and then blown to pieces by the Gotengo. That's how it died in this movie as well. It was frozen and then it was blown to pieces with missiles.
Makes sense.
So, didn't have a good, not a good ending.
I also want to point out that that drawing you have of the dragon looks exactly like one of the drawings I did when I was a teenager.
And do
you remember you saw a bunch of them?
Yes, and it's very much, it's pretty much an Eastern, for those not watching this on YouTube and listening as a podcast, it's very much like an Eastern dragon. If you've seen Shenron from Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball, very much look like Shenron. Very much your Eastern dragon, very snake-like. It do have legs, full legs essentially. But that's pretty much it. We only ever see it in the one Godzilla movie, and all it does is wrap around a subway track. It doesn't do that much. Again, they don't do much outside of their own movies, and even within their own movies, not that much is happening. It's focusing more on the people than it, and in this case with Manda, it was focusing. They actually have this on YouTube. I watched this before we did the podcast. It was focusing more on the whole Los Atlantis than it was with Manda. He was kind of like an afterthought. Even in his own poster, can you find him?
Barely. He looks like an afterthought. I mean, he looks like the monster that the Disney movie put on there just for the heck of it.
And to give
the Leviathan, the big monster thing.
I mean, kind of, and to give you an afterthought for those watching on YouTube, that's him in the one Godzilla appearance.
Oh, yeah.
He's that monster. Oh, yeah, the snake thing. I remember him now.
Right, he existed.
See? And that's every now you see why we can do one with 4 monsters in this episode. Because that's
all these monsters existed.
Exactly. Now we get to the next monster on the list. Let me get everything ready and let me see if I'm going to screw up again with the let me see if I'm going to screw up with the sound.
You know, it's funny. Zed and I can't actually hear the sounds when you're doing this for them.
No, they won't. You guys won't hear it because I just dump it in Discord for you guys because it's too hard to switch to you guys and then get to play as well. But they will be hearing that monster sound right now, which sound like a bunch of animals all on top of each other yelling.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that because that could have gone in a very weird direction.
This one is named Baragon. This one I actually do know how to pronounce because I did hear that one get pronounced multiple times. Baragon, I don't think Archimage again may have seen it once I show a better image of it than the one that's showing currently, which is just the outline. Baragon is a four-legged.
Yeah, we've seen that thing. I mean,
kind of like a dog almost.
They've used the same shape. Did they use the same shape for yeah, it's
Anguirus,
the exact same thing,
but without the spiked carapace on his back and a giant unicorn horn on his face.
Is that the difference?
Oh well, I mean, yeah. Technically, Anguirus got a spike on his nose, where Baragon, his spike is protruding between his 2 eyes.
Oh yeah, because the other one is also played by that adorable woman, right?
This one is played by that adorable woman.
Yeah.
So Baragon, 25 meters tall, 250 metric tons. He had his own movie in I know the movie as Frankenstein versus Baragon, but it's also called Frankenstein Conquered the World in English. 1965. That
was a dumb movie. Yeah,
you saw it? Did we watch it together?
It. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I remember the dumb Frankenstein kaiju movie.
Yeah, remember Shadow R Fox? That was the movie where we were watching it. I was standing for a moment, and they were saying, look out for the blue-eyed giant, and you were looking at me going, you fit that description a lot better.
Yes. Okay. And for those folks at home, yes, it's basically, he does, Toho went through an era where they took a bunch of random monsters and they just threw everything at the wall to see what stick. They did a lot of stuff with Frankenstein. They did stuff with Frankenstein. They tried to do Godzilla versus the Wolfman. That went nowhere. But
that would have been ridiculous to see, and I would have been all for it.
Remind me I think I showed you, but remind me, if not, to show you the leaked footage of the Godzilla versus Wolfman that is still floating around on YouTube. Basically, Frankenstein, they find a child who is basically Frankenstein, and with the abnormal ability to grow really, really large as time go on. And basically they think that the child may be killing people, but they realize it's really Baragon who's doing it. Baragon kind of have the ability to dig on the ground, which allow him to get around very quickly without being seen. He has a flame blast from his mouth. I think it's called magma blast, which he does use against Frankenstein to try to burn him. We never really see him use that in any of the Godzilla movies. Not during the Showa era. Heisei era, yes. He's one of the few Showa era monsters to make it to the next era, the Heisei era. But we'll get to that later on in another episode when we get to Heisei. We'll get to that then. But he really just in terms of Godzilla, he's just one of those monsters. He's there. He's just there. We don't really see him do much. And to give you all a kind of idea for those watching on YouTube, this image you're seeing now is all three of those monsters in that one Godzilla movie, Destroy All Monsters, 1968. Can you spot them?
Barely.
Exactly. You got if you're looking on the photo to the right, I got Manda's to the right. Baragon's barely coming up visible from the shrubbery. That's the only picture I could grab before it cut to the next scene, which is the one on the left where you got Manda on the right, you got Baragon right in the center, and you got Varan slowly gliding down and landing. So in Destroy All Monster, what that movie is basically about is the Kiliaks, an alien race, come down. Basically, all the monsters are trapped on Monster Island. Humans finally somehow figure out how to catch all the monsters and keep them confined to one tiny island. And the Kiliaks, an alien race of, this is getting really stupid, worm people and rocks.
What?
Yeah, let's move on.
So it's an alien race of wiglets.
Yes.
I was going to say it's whatever Jim the Worm was.
Yes.
Does anyone remember that? Jim the Worm? Wait, was it Jim?
Yeah.
That can take the form of beautiful women, but that's their true form.
Yeah.
Yes.
How the hell do I remember Jim the Worm? I never even watched that stupid
I
shit.
think it was like Jim the Earthworm or something.
Yeah, no, that's it. Jim the Earthworm.
Did anyone watch that show?
That was a weird show.
I never watched it. It looks so
No,
weird.
Earthworm Jim. That's the full name of it.
Yes,
Earthworm Jim.
Earthworm
Okay,
Jim.
so it was Jim.
Yes.
Yes.
That looked like a weird ass show. I never watched it, but always saw commercials.
I didn't even know it was a show. I only know the video games.
There was a video game?
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you know what? They make a video game of everything. What am I talking?
And I mean, the one thing about these characters, they don't even take part in the final fight. I was summarizing. The Kiliak shows up, they take control of all the monsters, they send them to attack various locations around the earth. Basically, Manda gets sent, he starts attacking subway trains. Varan, actually, he get captured, but we don't see him. Baragon, ironically enough, they drop his name and say he attacked France. But then when they show the newscaster, they show the fourth monster attacking France rather than Baragon. So they actually got the wrong. This is actually a kind of a movie edit thing. They misidentified the creature in the movie, and the reason for that is the suit for Baragon, I think, was either damaged or it looked really. I think it looked really worn down, so they decided to replace it with another monster at the last moment. And they just never changed the voice lines.
I could believe that.
And it kind of, it's kind of cheap when you watch it because you're like, well, that's not Baragon, that's another monster. And that will get me to the last monster. I'll play that voice now, and I actually got through all of them. They're hearing that voice line now. This is one of the few monsters that straight up look like a T-Rex.
Oh yeah, that one that looks like a T-Rex.
and jump like a kangaroo.
Makes sense.
And that would be the last monster, which is Gorosaurus. This one I actually do know how to pronounce as well. Gorosaurus, he's probably the one of this whole list that actually does stuff. And actually is memorable in my opinion, compared to all of these other monsters. Gorosaurus is 35 meters tall, 8,000 metric tons. It literally looked like a T-Rex. Oversized T-Rex. Yeah. This is kind of on purpose. It first showed up in King Kong Escapes. I think Archimage remember that one with the famous villain of Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, and Mecha Kong.
And Mecha Kong. This 1967 stupid movie as can be.
So stupid.
I have minerals deep in the earth that I need to dig out. What would be the most efficient way to dig it? I know, let's make a giant mechanized King Kong.
Yes, because everyone knows monkeys are the best at digging.
But wait, the radiation is frying the circuitry to my mech King Kong. What would be better? The actual King Kong would be more controllable to dig for me.
And would clearly survive radiation a lot easier than a machine.
Needless to say, if you've ever seen a King Kong movie, the main thing he always do in every King Kong movie, you gotta have him kill a dinosaur or a giant reptile by strangling it or ripping its jaw. And needless to say, that's what happened to Gorosaurus in this movie. He basically get choked out, and then he get his jaw ripped off, essentially.
Makes sense.
And then get the classical gorilla treatment of being beat by a gorilla. His one notable skill is he can jump up with both his feet and do a kangaroo kick where he extend both his feet out to hit his target. He does it to Kong and he does it to King Ghidorah because he was also in the 1968 Destroy All Monster movie.
Yet somehow it's less implausible than Godzilla's drop kicks. Yes.
I would believe him doing that kangaroo kick over Godzilla doing the flying drop kick. He is also the monster that was misidentified with Baragon in Destroy All Monster. And you'll see that soon enough if you're watching the YouTube video. You'll see basically a T-Rex digging up through the Arc de Triomphe, if I'm remembering the name of that monument correctly.
The Arc de Triomphe? Oh, yes.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I got that right because
I'm sorry. I thought you meant the weird stone sculpture that he is in front of on the bigger picture. I'm like, is that a monument? I don't know.
No, the bottom right-hand picture.
Yeah, no, the Arc de Triomphe.
That was originally, I think, supposed to be Baragon digging up, and they changed it out at the last moment and then changed out the subtitles and the dialogue. So
makes sense.
He's apparently good at digging as well as doing jump kicks. He's also the only monster on this list who actively fought against King Ghidorah. And actually, helped kill him in the end. And King Ghidorah is not having the best of days. He's getting curve stomped by 3 monsters at the same time right now. We got Godzilla stomping on one head, Anguirus biting another head, and we got Gorosaurus biting his tail. He's not having a good day.
That's not a monument. That's King Ghidorah's tail.
Yeah, no, that's his tail. Yeah, he's not having a good day right now.
Funny enough, though, he's had worse days.
Yeah, but I think this would be. He would have a worse day in the future, but this would be one of his first major defeats. So Gorosaurus got that under his belt. He did actually help take down King Ghidorah, which, considering all the other monsters on this list just watched the fight and then take part in it.
Pussies.
Kind of, yes, actually. But you see now why I said we could do 4 monsters in this episode, because there's not that much about them. They never really fight Godzilla. Um, they don't. Well, Baragon will fight him in the Heisei era, but that's a completely different time period. Um, they they have their own movies where they're kind of almost side characters in their own movies. Except for Varan, he the movie was his own movie, but Gorosaurus, he's a side character. Manda was kind of a side character in this movie. Baragon, the villain of his movie, so he didn't have a good ending. Many of these monsters I only knew about because of Varan was in one of the kids Godzilla books, and even in that book he was a background character. Manda I remember because I saw Destroy Manda, and Gorosaurus I remember because of Destroy All Monsters. Honestly, Baragon, I never knew he was in a Showa era Godzilla movie until I started doing research and I saw that he was apparently in Destroy All Monsters. So, yeah, they're kind of background characters. They don't get used that much. I think of all of them, Varan would be the one I would be interested in seeing more of because he's the same height as Godzilla, but he can fly, swim, and dig underground. So you think he would be a little bit more of a threat?
But really not.
I mean, yeah. They're all kind of like jobbers. they, they don't really do much. And I mean, Varan is also in the comic book Godzilla Goes to Hell.
I never thought I'd say this, but poor Hell.
Yeah, not well. Yeah, Hell doesn't really walk out that well from Godzilla coming. Neither does Heaven. Oh, purgatory. To give a fast summary, if you've ever read Dante Inferno, and I think the other two books are what Dante Paradiso or something, where he go to purgatory and heaven. Was that a separate book or the same book?
I think it was a separate book.
I think it was a separate book. I think it was Paradiso or something like that.
I'm not 100% sure.
Basically, it's very much Godzilla Goes to Hell is basically kind of a spoof of Dante's Inferno, but with Godzilla, because he does go through the several circles of hell.
Those poor circles, they never stood a chance.
Lust was very strange.
What the hell does Godzilla lust after?
We will say, you know what? If we get people, if we get even, I'll even make it. If we get 2 comments, because it's Valentine's Day and couples. If we get 2 comments asking us to do a video on Godzilla Goes to Hell, I'll do a video where we summarize and we do a whole little Dante Inferno analogy of Godzilla going through what is it, 8 circles of hell? I think it was 8 circles, if memory serves correctly.
I thought it was 9
circles. 9 circles?
Isn't it 9?
I think it was 9 circles.
I think it's 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along with him fighting heaven and purgatory.
That must be fun.
It's trippy.
I would imagine it's trippy.
It's pretty trippy. I don't know if you will find the angels very biblically accurate.
Probably not.
Probably not. Oh, definitely not. But yeah, there's not much to say about a lot of these monsters. All forgotten. I'm trying to think. I don't even think many of them have their own individual comic issues. I think Manda shows up in Godzilla's Singularity. Which again, the one Godzilla media I haven't really took part in seeing.
Reasons.
Yeah, for good
Very
reason.
good reasons.
Yeah, he shows up in that one. Let's see, Baragon, besides having his own movie, he doesn't really shows up in the comic at all, hardly, or any of the books. Wait, apparently he was in. Oh yeah, he was in Godzilla. Who's afraid? Who's afraid of Godzilla? He was also in that book with Varan as a background character. Um, and Gorosaurus, I mean, yeah, he's not in hardly any comic books as well. He's like so few of them are actually in their own comic book periods. So yeah, not that much is happening with these characters. Toho kind of forgot about them. Most people kind of forget about them. Very few people actually keep up with them other than their designs. So the designs are fairly interesting. I mean, Manda and Gorosaurus are probably the only two dull looking one in the sense of one's a T-Rex and one's a Eastern dragon.
Pretty much. Which it is interesting that Godzilla has gotten to the point that Eastern dragons are boring.
Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to compete with Godzilla. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are the full jobbers, as I call them, the full forgotten monsters, because most people don't even remember their names, let alone who they are.
I'm not gonna lie, at the end of this video, I've already forgotten their names.
I mean, the Kamakuras and Kamongo, the mantis and the spider, are more memorable and shows up in more movies than them. Yeah, you see now why I said full monsters in one. We're not gonna have that much to talk about.
Yeah, I can see that.
No, normally I'm the hype man for all the Godzilla characters, but there's not that much to go off of. And I thought doing research I would find more, but I mean, yeah, I could go into depths about each one of their movies, but
I mean, I think you found like at least 2 movies that we should see for the absolute absurdity if we can actually find them.
yeah, well, one of them's on YouTube. The one with Manda's on YouTube.
Which one's Manda?
The snake.
Ah.
With the dragon.
Yeah, that one looks fun.
The Varan the Invincible. Again, I'm amazed that one was dubbed. I haven't seen that one. And we've already seen King Kong Escape. And
Yeah.
we've already seen Frankenstein versus Baragon.
Or Frankenstein Conquers the World or whatever.
Conquer the world. Even though he couldn't even conquer Japan, but that's neither here or there. But
I like how Japan got a 5'8" Asian man to play a like 600-foot like Caucasian guy, and yet still called him Caucasian throughout the whole show.
yeah, that kept getting me because I thought it was a Japanese boy, but they keep calling him Caucasian.
Yeah, no, throughout the, it's like the reporters guard, we're looking for a Caucasian male. Caucasian male. I'm like, to the point where you finally said you wanted to see a giant blue-eyed Caucasian, you can look behind you.
What really got me was
be
Frankenstein looked like a Neanderthal too, so that's also got me.
right. Oh, on a side note for people listening, I am over 6 feet tall and I have blue eyes. And I'm white, if that wasn't clear.
That's the other thing that got me. We're talking more about Frankenstein, who is over Baragon, who is. You see now why I say all these monsters get forgotten, because even Toho forgot them. I guess I'll close out on this. I wish Toho would have given the rights to Legendary Studios to use these full monsters, because I think they fit. I think they can fit fairly well into the Legendary universe.
I think so.
In the sense of Gorosaurus is a big T-Rex, so he's easily shovable in there. Manda's a giant snake who looked like a dragon. He could easily fit in that universe.
I mean, to be fair, Godzilla already fought that in the last movie with that pink one.
Yeah, and it did not end very well for that thing.
It ended well for the sushi industry.
I'm glad you brought that up. I thought that pink one was a reference to Manda. I think that was a reference to Manda. I think that was the closest we're gonna ever get to a Godzilla versus Manda. And I bet you they probably wanted to use it, but from what I've been reading, Toho charged a lot to Legendary to use their monsters. Because in Destroy All Monster, they wanted to have other Godzilla monsters from the Toho lineup, but they couldn't afford it.
That sounds right.
And I'm like, of all the monsters, they could probably just let them have these monsters for a huge discount because you're not doing anything with these monsters, Toho.
They're really not.
I mean,
Then again, maybe they'll see this video and say, "The frack, we're not." Start doing all sorts of weird man. If you might start a new like renaissance of ridiculous monster movies.
I mean, look, if they put these monsters in Godzilla -1, the sequel, they could do Gorosaurus. Because since they're doing a more realistic take.
Okay, so Godzilla -1, the title is still a bit confusing because if they're going to do the sequel, are they going to call it -2 or 0? Because technically 0's after -1.
I think they're going to either call it 0 or they're just going to call it Godzilla, and it's going to be a remake of the original.
So was this all a plan to have this done with Godzilla 0 and then release the new brand of soda that's going to compete with Pepsi Zero?
Maybe. Diet Godzilla. I mean,
Godzilla 0, no calories, all monster.
I like how you bring up Pepsi and not Coke or any of the other ones that also have that.
The joke works with whatever brand.
I know, but it's just shocking to me that Pepsi was the first thing that came to your mind.
Yeah, I don't know why. Pepsi came first.
Yeah, I think Coke Zero first.
I think Coke Zero first too.
I hate Coke, so maybe that's why.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
I don't like Coke either, but I still think of that first when I think of that.
I like Coke.
I'm not curious. Did I just say Pepsi Zero because of my hatred for Coke? Is there even a Pepsi Zero? Is there only a Coke Zero?
I'm sure there is.
I think there's a Pepsi
Zero.
There's
Coke Zero, there's Sprite Zero, which
Zero.
is the same company. There's Dr. Pepper Zero, which is a different company.
There's Dr. Pepper Zero?
Yes.
How the hell is there a Dr. Pepper Zero?
I don't know. There's an everything Zero.
Yeah, I think there's a Sprite Zero, a 7-Up Zero.
Yeah.
That's just cruel.
They like the word zero.
Ugh.
Yeah, I think with that little tirade, that's the best way to explain these monsters. We'd rather talk about Pepsi and Coke rather than these monsters. It's sad. I hate. Then we're probably gonna get a lot of people who are like, I like Varan and I like Baragon. I'm like, no, that.
Good for you. We don't care.
And you'd be like, tell me one thing about him that I didn't mention.
I mean, Baragon. I would say this. He doesn't do this in the Showa, but he does it in the Heisei. He's also a good jumper. That is all.
Like for cars or for regular?
Like springing towards things, like a dog jumping towards you to knock you over type deal.
Gotcha. So what you're telling me is he won't help me if my car stalls out.
Well, he do have that horn, and in one of the promos, I think they said that horn could generate lightning. So let me double check that real fast.
Okay, I like how you're just ignoring my obvious joke and just going like, no, I'm gonna try to make this sensical.
Wait. I think maybe no. Okay, never mind. I'm misthinking that. Oh wait, no. He did on one publication. Let's see if I can get this in. This will be a bonus little fun fact. He actually can help you jump your car. Hang on. This is breaking news.
And this is something people have taken time to figure out.
In one of the posters they released, it was Baragon shooting lightning from his mouth. This was for the Frankenstein versus Baragon movie. So, yeah. He could jump your car, Archimage.
I think he might fry it a bit.
Probably so, but
But I asked a stupid question, so that's what I deserve.
And with that, I mean, that's pretty much all there is to say about these monsters. Not that much. They're forgotten by most people, and they're forgotten kind of by Toho because they don't use them. So they will be forgotten by us by the time we get to the next episode.
They're gonna be forgotten by me by tomorrow morning.
Exactly.
I've already forgotten them.
Other than that, I think with this one, I think this will be when we can actually. I think the next monsters we'll start getting into will finally be some of the robots and cyborg monsters.
Oh, nice. Have we done Mechagodzilla or no?
Oh no, he's like the last one.
Ah, gotcha.
Like Mechagodzilla is the second to the last.
Mechagodzilla is a fun protagonist. I'm not gonna lie. While I do like the legendary movies, I think they're fun. I do think they kind of butchered Mechagodzilla a bit.
They did, and we'll get to that. But no, you're right. I agree with you. They did butcher him.
Because I think Godzilla vs Kong Legendary was a fun movie. Nothing against it, but it's just Mechagodzilla. In most iterations, has a really interesting backstory, and this one they kind of butchered it.
It was a cluster.
It really was.
I
there's so much bullshit in that. It's just okay.
They were trying to rush it.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't like the design of that version of Mechagodzilla. It's my least favorite design. We'll get into it when we get to the Mechagodzilla episode because I'll say which design is my favorite.
I have an idea, but let's wait for that.
Yeah, no, we'll save it for that because Mechagodzilla is easily like his own episode because.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think next episode we'll get into another. We may make it a two monster one.
Sounds good.
But other than that, anything about these full forgotten monsters before we end the episode and forget about them?
I'm sorry, what monsters?
Exactly. That's we'll end it on that. See you guys next time.
See ya.